What's up YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Kristin. I am the owner and coach at Nova Strength, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about 5 mistakes people make while dieting. The reason I'm doing this is because I recently had a diet phase, and I've also been coaching a lot of clients through diet phase, and there were a lot of common errors that we were making. So I wanted to make a quick video and teach you guys a couple things. So number 1 is not measuring your food accurately, and I'm not talking about measuring on a food scale or with a measuring cup. I'm more so talking about how you measure the actual food item itself. So when you measure certain things after they've been cooked, such as rice or meat, they'll have a different weight due to the addition or loss of water or moisture or even fat. So it's important that you make sure the measurements are done as dry or raw or whatever the package states as its serving size. So depending on how you cook your meat, it's going to lose more or less moisture or fat. And so when you go to measure it afterwards, it's going to vary person to person and will alter the actual amount that you're measuring. Likewise, things with rice and pasta, things that you add water to, if you add more or less water, that's also going to alter the actual serving size itself. So it's important that you measure it as raw as possible, or again, however the package states. If you aren't already, use a measuring scale if you can, just to add as much accuracy as possible and make this diet phase as quick as possible, because if you're accurate, you'll be able to get those results faster, so you're not always second guessing how much or how little you're eating. Especially if you're new to dieting, you might not always know how big a serving size is, and of course there's going to be human error, so just having that food scale will make everything a lot easier. Even things like measuring cups can have a lot of human error in them, and things like that have a lot of volume or size is going to alter the amount that you can fit into that measuring cup. So that's going to vary person to person as well and not make the actual serving size an accurate measurement. Now, number 2 is underestimating or overestimating how much you should be eating or how much you actually are eating. It's hard to know sometimes how many calories your body is actually utilizing, but this kind of ties into the first point as well. If you're not accurately measuring your intake, then you won't know if how much you're eating is too much or too little. Obviously, if you see a trend in the scale going up or down at a consistent rate, then that's a good indicator that you're eating more than you need or less than you need. But again, tying into number 1, if you can be accurate, then you'll have a better understanding of if you need to add more calories or decrease the amount of calories that you're intaking. Number 3 is overcomplicating or undercomplicating things. So your mind is an interesting thing, and when it comes to dieting, we typically do 2 things. We either overcomplicate things or undercomplicate things. We're definitely creatures of habit and routine, and we also like to take the path of least resistance and just be comfortable, but dieting is not comfortable. So the best way to create and maintain these habits is to keep things as simple and predictable as possible. So by keeping our meals as simple and as predictable as possible, it allows us to not have any excuse as to why we weren't able to meal prep or eat enough of whatever, or even, if we're snacking too much, things like that. So it allows us to properly know how much we're eating, and if it's relatively the same day, we won't have to worry about if that was over the amount of calories that we were supposed to eat or not. Likewise, when we feel restricted or bored, our minds always want what we can't have. So I've found that when dieting, it helps me if I come up with simple yet tasty recipes that I don't actually feel like I'm dieting. Eating voluminous foods with a lot of density or protein or fiber and adding a lot of spices and seasonings can really enhance your dieting experience and kind of trick your mind so that it doesn't feel like it's in a deficit or restricted from certain things. So I love using like lime and lemon, a lot of salt, and a lot of different seasonings to kind of trick my mind into thinking that I'm not actually dieting. Number 4 is not training intense enough. When we're dieting, our natural inclination is to take it easier because we won't have as much energy or fuel in our bodies. And while that is true, it's also important to try to keep your training intensity as high as possible and really maximize your caloric expenditure, as well as keep your muscular density as high as possible. The more muscle mass you can maintain during this diet phase, the better you'll look and feel. And you'll actually maximize the amount of calories that you're burning so that this diet phase goes by a lot faster and you come out of it looking and feeling a lot better instead of kind of like depleted and stringy. So try to really intensify your training as much as possible and keep your training as normal as possible. Don't just half-ass it because you know you're dieting. And lastly, not taking your recovery serious. So since we're essentially limiting the amount of fuel that we have, it can make the recovery process a little bit more difficult. So it's important to take the right precautions to make sure that you don't run yourself into the ground and induce a ton of extra stress on your body, which will actually slow down the diet phase and slow down your results. So the main things I look at for recovery is making sure you're getting good quality sleep. 7 to 9 hours, of course, the more the better. But if you have trouble sleeping at night, do what you can to really maximize the quality of sleep that you're getting. So take supplements, melatonin, zinc, magnesium. Those things can be very helpful. Make sure you're getting sun exposure during the day. You can enhance your sleep cycle by getting a normal amount of sun exposure. It doesn't have to be a lot, even 5 to 10 minutes a day can make a huge difference in terms of normalizing your circadian rhythm and promote better wakefulness during the day and also better sleep at night. Micronutrients, make sure you're getting in plenty of greens and various fruits and vegetables. Also things like beans and meat and all of that good stuff. Make sure you have a variety of things in your diet because, again, stress and inflammation will be high. So those things will keep you feeling good and feeling healthy. Active recovery or just take straight up rest days, make sure those are programmed and not just random, but make sure you have rest days or active recovery days that will allow you to hit your training harder when you're in the gym while also allowing your body to recover properly. Of course, we want to limit external stress as much as possible. Life happens, but the way we handle it is better or worse depending on how we handle it. So this is obvious, but being under higher amounts of stress on top of what you're already inducing on your body will make recovery a lot harder. So it's important that you learn how to calm your mind or let go of the stress and anxiety so that your cortisol levels don't increase more than they already are, because that will actually make your body hold on to that extra fat and water weight. And that's pretty much it, guys. I know this was a quick video, but I hope you guys learned something. And let me know if you have any questions or any extra tips that you guys have while you're dieting.